April 20th, 10:59 p.m. The European Union is a political economic union of 27 member states that are located primarily in Europe. The supranational union has a total area of 4,233,255. The motto of the European Union is In Veritate Concordia, united in diversity. If that isn't an oxymoron, or if that doesn't sound similar to Orwell's 1984 doublespeak, newspeak. Freedom is slavery, war is peace, etc. Now we're gonna listen to the European anthem really quick. The U.S. Navy orchestrated with the European Union in this anthem. All men will become brothers. The Freemasons, they believe in universal fraternity, universal brotherhood. And it's their goal for a one world order where we're all interconnected through and in philosophy, technology, economy, military, geopolitically, ideologically. But brotherhood, they call each other brother in their secret fraternities, inside their lodges. They refer to each other as brother. Do you think that now you hear everybody calling each other bro? Hey bro, bro this, bro that. Do you think that's a conspiracy? Do you think that's by design, or do you think people just started calling each other bro out of an accidental inspiration or influence? Whom stern custom has parted thee. So it says that customs and culture, nationalism, populism, all that is the source of world wars, of hunger, of thirst, of mass murders. Hence why they justify internationalism, the European Union, to get rid of individualism and to bring about collectivism, collaboration, cooperation, etc. All men will become brothers. Of course, it was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. It maintains permanent diplomatic missions throughout the world and represents itself at the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, the G7, and the G20. In 2012, the EU was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Its beginnings can be traced to the inner six states: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and West Germany, at the start of modern European integration in 1948, and to the Western Union, the international authority of the Ruhr, the European Coal and Steel Community, the European Economic Community, and the European Atomic Energy Community, which were established by treaties. Internationalism and visions of European unity had existed since well before the 19th century, but gained particularly as a reaction to World War I and its aftermath. In this light, the first advances for the idea of European integration were made. In 1920, John Maynard Keynes proposed a European customs union for the struggling post-war European economies. And in 1920, so they see an opportunity. These leaders who conspire against the average people, they seek opportunity out of chaos. And this was one of their opportunities. And in 1923, the oldest organization for European integration, the Pan-European Union, was founded, led by Richard von Coudenhove-Kalergi, who later would found in June 1947 the European Parliamentary Union. Okay, it's Richard von Coudenhove-Kalergi in 1922, according to Ecclesiastical Freemasonry. In 1922, in Vienna, Count Richard Nicholas Coudenhove-Kalergi was initiated as a Freemason in the Humanitas Lodge, and then the Mozart chapter of the 18th degree Prince Rose Cross of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. Because the humanitarian movement it's inspired by Freemasons, by their philosophy, their goal of a universal brotherhood, of a universalism, Unitarianism, essentially. Aristide Briand, who was Prime Minister of France, a follower of the Pan-European Union, and Nobel Peace Prize laureate for the Locarno Treaties, delivered a widely recognized speech at the League of Nations in Geneva on 5th September 1929 for a federal Europe to secure Europe and settle the historic Franco-German enmity. Let's see if he was associated with Freemasonry. Aristide Briand was a statesman who served 11 times as Premier of France, holding a total of 26 ministerial posts between 1906 and 1932. His efforts for international cooperation, the League of Nations, and world peace brought him the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1926. All these sellouts who win the Nobel Peace Prize, average people look at it as like a badge of honor. But when you do your research and when you know what they're up to, you know that you're getting closer, your country, your nation is getting closer and closer to slavery, to imprisonment. Because nationalism is the only true path to freedom, to peace. because with internationalism, you won't preserve your culture, your history, your language. Now, the anthem of Europe. The European anthem, also known as Ode to Joy, is a piece of instrumental music adapted from the prelude of the final movement of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, composed in 1823. Beethoven was also a Freemason. Beethoven and Freemasonry, the truth explored. Ludwig van Beethoven, a colossal figure in the world of classical music, continues to fascinate not only for his symphonies but also for the myths surrounding his life. One such intriguing aspect that has often been whispered about in historical corridors is his alleged association with Freemasonry. This article delves into the ties between Beethoven and the secretive world of the Freemasons, attempting to separate fact from fiction. The allure of Freemasonry in Beethoven's time. During the 18th and early 19th centuries, Freemasonry was flourishing across Europe. It attracted intellectuals, artists, and influential figures advocating ideals such as liberty, equality, and fraternity. These principles resonated with the Age of Enlightenment of which Beethoven was a product. Thus, it's not surprising that rumors of Beethoven's involvement with the Freemasons exist. Beethoven's life, albeit well documented in some areas, remains mysterious regarding personal associations and beliefs. While no definitive record confirms his membership in a Masonic lodge, several indirect pieces of evidence fuel the speculation. Associations with known Freemasons. Beethoven had close ties with many known Freemasons, including Count Ferdinand Waldstein, a patron whose influence is notably marked by the dedication of Beethoven's Waldstein Sonata. Another significant figure was Ignaz van Born, a prominent Masonic leader whom Beethoven admired. Masonic symbols in music. Some scholars argue that Beethoven's music contains elements and structures that mirror Masonic rituals and symbols. For instance, the use of specific intervals and patterns in pieces like the Symphony No. 7 aligns with Masonic numerical symbolism. Yeah, the Masons, they were into numerology, into the occult, into hidden knowledge that is the fundamental building blocks of matter that we can see, taste, touch, hear. The ideological alignment. Beethoven's advocacy for freedom and his philosophical outlook, as expressed vividly in the Ode to Joy from his Ninth Symphony, aligned closely with Masonic values. His music and writings often reflect a deep desire for brotherhood and universal peace, central tenets of Freemasonry. Originally set to words adapted from Friedrich Schiller's 1785 poem Ode to Joy. In 1972, the Council of Europe adopted it as an anthem to represent Europe, and later in 1985 it was also adopted by the European Union. Its purpose is to honor shared European values. The EU describes it as expressing the ideals of freedom, peace, and solidarity. The anthem is played on official occasions such as political or civil events. Friedrich Schiller wrote the poem and Die Freude to Joy in 1785 as a celebration of the brotherhood of man. In later life, the poet was contemptuous of its popularity and dismissed the poem as typical of the bad taste of the age in which it had been written. After Schiller's death, the poem provided the words for the choral movement of Ludwig van Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. In 1971, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe decided to propose adopting the prelude to the Ode to Joy from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony as the anthem, taken up as a suggestion made by Richard von Coudenhove Kalergi in 1955. We went through him already, who was also a Freemason. Beethoven was generally seen as the natural choice for a European anthem. The Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe officially announced the European anthem on 19th January 1972 at Strasbourg, the prelude to Ode to Joy, fourth movement of Ludwig van Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. It is not intended to replace the national anthems of the member states, but rather to celebrate the values they all share and their unity and diversity. It expresses the ideals of a united Europe: freedom, peace, and solidarity. Internationalists, Democrats, humanitarians, the social justice warriors, they always talk about solidarity. Buffoons. Ode to Joy is the anthem of the Council of Europe and the European Union. In the context of the COE, the anthem is used to represent all of Europe. In the context of the EU, the anthem is used to represent the Union and its people. It is used on occasions such as Europe Day and formal events such as the signing of treaties. The European Parliament seeks to make greater use of the music. Then Parliament President Hans-Gert Pöttering stated he was moved when the anthem was played for him on his visit to Israel. You see another sign of Israel. In the last video I made, I talked about how Israel was the last member of the CERN Foundation, the only non-European country to be part of CERN, or the United Nations, I forgot, and that it ought to be used in Europe more often. Because Jews and Freemasons plot together, they conspire together in secret against all of humanity for a globalist new world, one world order. Friedrich von Schiller, November 10, 1759 to May 9, 1805. According to Grand Lodge of British Columbia and Yukon, Johann Christopher Friedrich von Schiller's major poetic and dramatic works, yada yada yada, all express a yearning for escape from tyranny. The first of his histories, the history of the revolt of the Netherlands against the Spanish government, and a recommendation from Goethe, secured him a professorship at the University of Jena in 1789. Schiller followed his appointment with a history of the 30 Years' War and the aesthetic education of man in a series of letters. Beethoven used Schiller's poem Ode to Joy in its fourth movement of the Ninth Symphony. His Masonic membership has not been definitely established, but German brethren believe he was a member of Rudolstadt Lodge of Berlin. a pioneer of European integration. The European Space Agency, a video I made prior to this, it was influenced by European integration. Now, Ode to Joy. Written in the summer of 1785 by the German poet, playwright, and historian Friedrich Schiller. It was published the following year in the German magazine Thalia. In 1808, a slightly revised version changed 2 lines of the first stanza and omitted the last stanza. Joy, thou beauteous, godly lightning. We all know Lucifer fell from heaven like lightning. He's often symbolized by or with the lightning bolt, because whenever he fell from heaven, he brought with himself the gift of wisdom. Luciferianism is the worship of wisdom, of knowledge. Daughter of Elysium, fire drunken, we are entering heavenly, thy holy home, thine enchantments bind together. What did custom stern divide? Every man becomes a brother, where thy gentle wings abide. Be embraced, ye millions yonder, take this kiss throughout the world. Brothers o'er the stars unfold, must reside a loving Father, who the noble prize achieveth, good friend of a friend to be, who a lovely wife attaineth, join us in his jubilee. Yes, he too, who but one being on this earth can call his own, who he never was able, weeping, stealeth from this league alone. Reconcile the total world. Globalism, centralism, totalitarianism. And this is an example. Look, it was performed, the instrumental performed by the United States Navy Band. And this is an example of how Freemasonry is behind the plot of the one world order. And it doesn't matter what side of politics is in power. When the TVs are off and the curtains are closed, when the screens are off and the cameras aren't rolling, they're all in bed with each other. And just like what George Carlin said, it's all one big club and you and I aren't a part of it.